Hey guys, it's Nathaniel with HeartFab. Today I want to share with you 5 tips that I believe are going to help you become more successful with your small welding business. Before we get into it, just as a disclaimer, I am not a professional business guy. I'm just a guy who's been running my own welding business for the past 3 years, and I've learned some things and made some mistakes that I believe, if I share with you, are going to be really helpful for you in the future. So we're going to start off at number 5. Keep your equipment maintained and try not to get behind on your maintenance. For example, on your truck or your forklift. Let me give you some practical examples. About a year ago, I took my welder out on a job and it's got a digital readout screen. It was a rainy day, so it got some water in that screen. And now I can't quite read my settings properly. It's got automatic settings, so I can kind of work it, but it's not ideal, and I still need to get that fixed. And then I got a forklift also for my business, and it needs brake work, it needs a little bit of engine work, and it's just not in ideal condition. And then I keep putting off the maintenance on my flatbed work truck, and as a result, I just had to take a bunch of time and money and dump it into that truck to get it running right. Now, thankfully, I can do the work myself, and that's just kind of a side note. If you can learn to do the maintenance on your own equipment, it's going to save money having to hire somebody to work on your stuff. And so if you can keep up on the maintenance and just do it as you go, then you're not going to be like me, and you're going to end up in a situation where your stuff's broken all at once, and then you got to do the work on it, and you got downtime. Number 4. Think ahead. Order consumables ahead of time. Things like welding wire, tips, cones, cutoff wheels, flap discs, bandsaw blades. I can't tell you how many times I've been in the middle of a project and I've run out of cutoff wheels, flap discs, or bandsaw blades, or anything like that. So what I like to do is I like to try to order these things ahead of time so that I'm not in a pickle and I'm in the middle of a job and I can't get my job done because I got to wait for stuff to show up, or I got to go to town and find some other brand of what I need that's just not ideal. Number 3, good customer service. Always be respectful to your customers, even to the disrespectful customers, and that might be hard to do. Like sometimes people are going to have you go out on a job and look at it, and then they just never call you back. It's very frustrating, but just let it go. Just let it go. Try to pick up the phone if you can. I understand if you're a one-man show, you may not always be able to pick up the phone, but if you can't, call your customer back as soon as possible. Because whether it's responding to a message, going out to a job, or picking up a phone call, that first impression is going to be super important. And making that good first impression, I believe, really could set the tone of how the job is going to go, or whether the customer is even going to want to hire you or not. Because if you show up or you take the phone call and you sound grumpy or you sound rude, the customer may not want to hire you. Number 2, good money management. This one is super important because you could be really good at welding, fabrication, but if you run your own business and you're a one-man show like I am, there's a lot more than just that which goes on in the shop or in the field. My first year, or almost 2 years at business, I was terrible at this. I was broke and I just couldn't stay ahead. I had practically no money in my account. And that's for a couple of reasons, one of which I wasn't charging enough, but I also just didn't know how to manage money well. For example, I wouldn't pay my vendors on time, and so I'd have these bills that were stacking up, and instead of profit coming in from my jobs, I'd be actually behind on paying my vendors. So I'd get my down payments for my job, and then I'd use that for other business expenses instead of paying my vendors right up front. I don't like 30-day term agreements. That might be for some people. For me, just a one-man show, it really helps me if I can pay my vendors on time, and then I know whatever's in the bank, that's actually my hard-earned money, aside from that which goes out for taxes, but that's really going to help you. That was one thing that really helped me out. And then another thing on that note is buying an older truck. Buy equipment you can afford. I see people who buy the brand new truck that go take out a loan for it or for any other business equipment, and then they're making payments on that, and they're not really making money with their business. So if you really want to succeed at business, you're going to have to buy things that you can actually afford. And if you're in debt, you're going to have to work really hard and focus on getting those debts paid off so that you can actually start making money. And then don't use credit cards, because credit cards just get you in the habit getting your stuff now and paying for it later. And that's a horrible way to run a business. If you're just getting started, don't feel like you have to go to college, because if you have to go into debt for college, that's not a good solution, because you could go work for some type of fabrication company that will actually pay you. And if you're willing to learn, they'll teach you as you go as well. I worked as a sandblaster for about 6 months, and in between sandblasting, I was learning about powder coating, and I was asking questions about the welding, and I was getting to practice welding on my breaks. So don't be afraid to ask questions. Questions are good. Which leads me to number 1, which is humility. I'd say you could have all these other ones nailed down, but if you don't have this one, you're going to have a hard time. What I mean by humility is, if you're starting a business, you probably don't know everything that you need to know. And that's okay. You're going to learn as you go. I didn't know everything I needed to know when I started, and I still don't know everything I need to know. If I ever stop learning, I'm probably not living life correctly. So practically, learn from your mistakes. Don't keep making the same mistakes over and over again. That is the very definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. And learn from the mistakes of others also. I would highly recommend finding a mentor, somebody older than you who you can ask advice when you don't exactly know what you're doing with a particular kind of project. I'm very grateful that God has given me a mentor, but when I first started my business, I did not have the humility to ask for help when I was outside my comfort zone. So let me tell you a story. This was about 2 years ago. I had been working with this guy, my mentor, for a few months now, and he had gotten to see some of my welds. He thought I was doing well, and so he turned me loose on this big project, almost a $20,000 project, and he said, here, I'm going to let you do this on your own. So with a little too much confidence, I took it on, not knowing how to do this kind of project, and it ended up being a disaster, because this particular kind of project I had never done before. And there's a difference between having confidence and overconfidence, or being cocky about it. Confidence is good, knowing that you can do it because you've done things like it in the past, or even if it's a little bit different, even if the concepts are the same and you know that you can figure it out. But when you're outside your comfort zone, don't be afraid to ask for help. That's going to save you some headaches, and hopefully it will allow you to have happy customers as well. Because this one particular customer where I made these big mistakes on this particular job was not happy with this job. And that was a very humbling experience for me. So I've learned that every time I think I know something, I realize there's a whole lot more that I probably don't know. The Bible says God gives grace to the humble, but he resists the proud. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope it helped you out. I hope this was beneficial to learn from some of my mistakes so that hopefully you don't make these mistakes as well. And if you liked it, hit that thumbs up button. Leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think. Let me know what kind of content you would like to see me make in the future. And if you enjoy this type of content, consider subscribing to my channel, because Lord willing, I will keep sending you content just like this video.